Time now for our Friday political panel. National's Judith Collins is live in the studio with me. Judith, good morning.
Good morning,
Haven't
Paul.
seen you for a couple of weeks.
No,
I've been missing you.
I've been gallivanting.
Oh, really?
New York and then Palmerston North.
Oh, have you been using my money to go there?
No, actually. Some of it I have.
I bet for the expensive trip you did. And Green Party co-leader Ms Turei joins us from the lights, the sights and sounds of lovely Dunedin. How are you, Metiria?
I'm doing good, thank you. Keeping warm.
Well, it's hard to keep warm. It would have been cold this morning in Dunedin, I would think.
It's been cold, but it's still beautiful down here. It's the best place in the world.
It is. It's not the best place. No, you're wrong there, but it's quite a nice place. All right. Let's talk housing. Metiria, to you firstly. Obviously, you won't believe that the government went far enough with its announcement yesterday.
No, it's a good step. It's a small step. If they're going to set up a system of enforcement and of fines, they may as well go do the whole thing so that we know that our homes are safe for our kids, because that's what's most important at the end of the day. Our kids are living in these homes. They are warm and dry, and the homes are not making them sick. That has to be the basic standard.
That's true.
They haven't gone quite that far yet.
No, and I suspect, that they never will in terms of legislation. They will never go far enough to satisfy you, because the problem, Judith, isn't it, that if you introduce really harsh rules, landlords a lot of landlords are not making much bloomin' money at all.
Well,
it's marginal.
In Auckland, it's about a 4 to 5% return, and frankly, that's actually less than what the interest rates are. So there's, you've got to be reasonable about this. And the other thing is, what most people haven't mentioned is that there's a lot of people who own their own homes that are completely uninsulated, and because it actually costs money. It's about $3,000 for an average home.
Insulation is important.
That's why.
Yeah, insulation's important material, and that's probably the most significant thing that happened in the announcement.
It is. It's important, and that's why we say bring back the Warm Up New Zealand scheme, which the Greens and National Party worked together on, that insulated around 300,000 New Zealand homes until National cancelled it and had a smaller scheme instead.
Why did you pull the plug on that, Judith?
Well, Why did you,
Judith?
Well, obviously there are priorities, but I think this is actually focused on the right things.
Keeping New Zealand as warm is not a priority.
No, I think it is, and that's why, in fact, we've actually brought it into the rental market, and I think that's where the need is most at this stage.
All right, we'll move on. Yeah, no, well, you don't want to move on, Metiria, do you? Because you've got more to say about this.
Well,
I think the Warm Up New Zealand thing was not a bad idea. And it's not a bad idea to give people an incentive to improve their living environment.
And I think too is that people don't realise, unless they've actually lived in an insulated home and an uninsulated, the difference. Most of the homes I've lived in are uninsulated.
So why did you pull the plug on it?
Well, because in fact the need is to put it in the rental homes at the moment, so that's what's happening.
All right. Let's talk about the economy. Now, there are some people this morning in the media talking about doom and gloom, but of course the reality is it was an extraordinary day on the Greece stock market yesterday.
Greece?
China. Oh, no, well, it would have been. Every day is an extraordinary day in Greece on the stock market. No, so China really rallied yesterday.
Well, it did, and of course I think it's got to do with the Chinese government stopping anyone with more than 10% in shareholding from selling. It's amazing what some serious intervention can do, but that's a government that can do those sorts of things. And I think too is that the underlying strength of the Chinese economy is something that we shouldn't underestimate. But look, I'm sure that a lot of it's overheated as well, and there's always going to be a correction. That's what happens.
And that's what we've seen. There was no question that the stock market there was overheated. Metiria, obviously there are concerns, and Winston Peters, I think, expressed it pretty obviously. He said we're on the cusp of another financial crisis, or potentially we are. And there have been people saying, well, John Key is playing this down. But I think what happened yesterday is probably proof that John Key had it about right in the way he was commentating on it.
No, I'm not sure that that's true. We still have a slowdown in dairy prices. China is a major market for us, and although they're making adjustments, that doesn't mean it's set in a place now for long term.
You're not talking the economy down, though, are you, Metiria?
No, well, I am concerned that the government now has a role to make sure that it takes the peaks and the troughs off the slowdown that's coming. And we have to be realistic about that. That's why we've been saying government needs to be investing in high-value capital, like the City Rail link in Auckland, something like a green investment bank that works with private industry to provide investment to New Zealand businesses and new technologies, that kind of thing, not tax cuts, which is what John Key's also talking about now.
Yeah, all right. We'll all be in driverless cars soon. We don't need a City Rail link, Metiria. I'm sorry. It's all got to be part of the future.
Do.
And you're agreeing you will like driverless cars. Driverless driverless cars are very, very good for the environment. They're right. We need to invest in that. All right, quickly, Kiwi Rail. If we talk about the most archaic form of transport in the history of the world, next to the horse and cart, it's rail.
Have you been to Taiwan? Have you been to those countries where they have amazing public transport networks on rail that are the most modern countries in the world? The only way that works is because you treat people falling far behind.
It only works is because you treat people like cattle. That's exactly right, and you herd them into trucks.
True.
Yeah, but the other thing too is that these are tiny little countries and huge populations. It's really efficient to do it.
No.
But we are a country that is physically bigger than the United Kingdom.
Are you going to pull the plug on Kiwi Rail, Judith?
I don't know.
Like you did on insulating houses?
Well, we'll have to find out, won't we? What is it the Prime Minister says? We'll wait and see.
Wait and see.
National spends 10 times more on a single road than they do on Kiwi Rail.
Which is, by the way, used by far more people, Metiria.
No,
and I think the fact is,
it doesn't require to make a profit, though, Judith. It doesn't require to make a profit.
The vast majority, Metiria, of people who use public transport use buses, and they run on roads.
This is the trouble.
Judith, just have a listen. The rail system is used predominantly for freight. It is doing extremely well. Kiwi Rail is improving.
I don't know about the freight, but I'm seeing it on our Auckland roads.
It is improving on its performance targets.
Okay, well, and what we need to make sure is we invest in a proper...
Well,
to be frank, would we buy it again?
Advocating that we get rid of the entire New Zealand rail network, and that is just not a feasible option.
We've got to go. It's just been called a dog by Judith Collins.
I'm sorry, it's a dog.
Yeah,
but I like dogs.
It barks like a dog.
Judith is wrong.
Okay, will it be here in a year's time? Metiria, will Kiwi Rail exist in a year's time, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think?
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will.
Oh, that was a no.
All right. I don't know. I mean, maybe it will, maybe it won't.
No,
but there's people have a lot of affection for it.
We've got to stop talking about it now.
Okay.
Because, I mean, as you would say, people want to get on roads, they don't want to get in trains. All right. Judith Collins, Ms Turei, thank you very much for joining us.